Good morning. Thank you all for being here for what is a really exciting ceremony in the life of our university, and I think in the life of this community as we dedicate the Center for Collaborative Journalism, which just a couple of weeks ago was described as one of the boldest experiments in journalism. We're really proud to be a part of that experiment. Before we get to our brief program, there are a few individuals I'd like to introduce. When I call your name, why don't you just wave? Beginning with you, Beverly Olson, who is a Knight Foundation trustee, Beverly Blake, who's the Macon Program Director for the Knight Foundation, Kirby Godsey, who is Mercer's Chancellor and Board Member for the Peyton Anderson Foundation, Juanita Jordan, President Emerita of the Peyton Anderson Foundation, Mark Zeman, Vice President of Operations for the McClatchy Company, owner of the Telegraph, Tim Reagan Porter, Director of the Center for Collaborative Journalism, and we've got a number of members of the National Journalism Advisory Board. Would you all stand up? Let's see who from the advisory board is here today. Oh, they're waving. All right, thank you all. The chairman of Mercer University's Board of Trustees just so happens to be an expert in First Amendment law. Among his many media clients, David Hudson represents the Georgia Press Association. I'd now like to invite David to come and make a few remarks.
Good morning. Do you receive a lot of information these days? I do, and I must tell you that a great portion of it is pure junk, hogwash. I'm referring to emails that purport to be a speech made by some prominent individual, and it turns out not to be so. Another example is an email that purports to be a column from an editorial page of a respected newspaper, and it's not so. Other examples are news items, or should I say what pretends to be a news item, about what some public official did or did not do, and that's bogus as well. This is not limited to email and websites. Other examples are statements made on talk television or talk radio as fact, and they turn out to be wrong. So flooded with an overload of information, much of which turns out to be bogus, where does the American citizen turn for information that has been researched, substantiated, edited, and is reliable? I submit that the prime repository for such public trust is and should be the local newspaper and broadcasters such as public radio and television. It is the task of this Collaborative Center for Journalism to ensure that this tradition of reliability and trust continues and is made stronger. What is it that the local newspaper and public broadcasters provide that other purveyors of information do not? I can think of these, and you may think of others. Fact-checking and verification before publication. Editorial supervision to ensure substantiation, good writing, fairness, and decency. And perhaps even more important, the willingness to retract or make a clarification if they learn that the information was incorrect. These are the qualities that do not attach to so much of the other information with which the public is bombarded. Some may refer to traditional newspapers and broadcasters as mainstream media. I join instead with Jefferson, Madison, Benjamin Franklin, Lincoln, and Churchill in saying that such newspapers, and had they been in existence at the time, broadcasters, are in fact the bedrock of our democracy. As I mentioned at the groundbreaking of this center in December, public access to reliable and accurate information is essential to the proper functioning of our democracy, at the local level, the state level, or the national level. This Center for Collaborative Journalism, which is being celebrated today, will be one of the strongest forces in this state for preserving the right of the people to know about the actions of their public servants and to have confidence in what they read or hear. And who will benefit? Who will benefit from this center? We, the citizens, we who make up our democracy, we who will be able to read and listen with confidence that the highest standards of journalism have been followed. The Mercer Board of Trustees is immensely proud that this center is now part of Mercer. And I want to mention this name. One of Mercer's former board chairmen was the publisher of the Macon Telegraph, Bert Struby. He was one of the finest and most public-minded people many of us have ever known. He is surely smiling in eternity today, seeing this joint effort of institutions he loved and served so dearly. We trustees are grateful to the Knight and Anderson Foundations for your generosity and for your faith in journalism excellence. We look forward to the great work and scholarship that will take place here for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, David. This venture began 3 years ago with an idea and a phone call from George McCandless, the Telegraph's president and publisher. We will hear from George in a few minutes, but his great idea would not have become a reality without the strong support of two foundations, both of which have ties to our local newspaper. The John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, named for two brothers who owned the Telegraph from 1969 to 2006, last December committed $4.6 million over 5 years to undergird this bold experiment. We are deeply grateful to our friends at Knight Foundation for having the confidence to invest so generously in this exciting venture. Eric Newton serves as senior advisor to the president of Knight Foundation. I would now invite Eric to come and share a few remarks.
Good morning. Thanks to both Beverlys and our Knight contingent here in Macon, and to everyone from Mercer and from the Telegraph and from GPB who invited us here today. The Knight Foundation supports transformational ideas that promote quality journalism, advance media innovation, engage communities, and foster the arts. We believe that democracy thrives when people and communities are informed and engaged. That's the brochure. Now, here's the real story. I wouldn't be standing here if it weren't for the generosity of one family, a mother and her two sons, and the daughters today who serve on our trustees, Beverly for 25 years now. They gave their personal fortunes to the Knight Foundation to try to continue the things they cared about and to help the people they cared about, the communities where they made their money, and journalism the way they made their money. So we're more or less involved in a gigantic recycling project. Money came, money comes back. One of the things I wanted to be clear about today is what we mean by journalism excellence. And there's a mantra, a credo that has been passed down in the Knight family from father to son to daughter about what a good newspaper is. It was in the mission statement of the Knight newspapers, and I'd like to read it to you today. I think this is as good a goal for this center as any. We seek to bestir the people into an awareness of their own condition, provide inspiration for their thoughts, and rouse them to pursue their true interests. And I think that's the kind of newspaper the Knight family produced, newspapers that helped communities decide what they wanted to do. This center, a unique combination of student journalists, the daily newspaper, and public broadcasting, a combination nowhere else in America all in the same room, has a chance to engage this community like no news cooperative has before. It's an experiment, but one we are optimistic will produce healthier flows of news and information for the people of Macon, and we're delighted to have the chance to help all of you do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Eric was actively engaged in the formulation of this concept over the last couple of years and frequently pushed us to think even bigger about what was possible. So we're grateful for your presence here, and we're grateful for your involvement in developing this concept. The other foundation that has made a significant investment in the Center for Collaborative Journalism is the Peyton Anderson Foundation, which was founded by Peyton Anderson, who sold the Macon Telegraph and News to the Knight brothers in 1969. The joint newsroom in the center is named in honor of and memory of this great Macon leader, recognizing the foundation's $1 million commitment to this work. At this time, I would like to invite Karen Lambert, president of the Peyton Anderson Foundation, to say a few words. Karen?
Good morning. On behalf of the trustees of the Peyton Anderson Foundation, and two of them are here this morning, the chairman of the board, Ed Sell, is here, and Chancellor Kirby Godsey is here. We would like to bring you greetings on this beautiful and very special day of celebration and dedication. The Center for Collaborative Journalism and the creative thought and imagination which it represents is a huge asset to our community, and it will perhaps place Mercer University on the forefront of innovation in the future of the news industry. We're especially pleased to participate in this project since the business of news in Macon was the center of gravity for the life and the work of Peyton Anderson. And we believe that naming the newsroom in his honor is a fitting tribute to this wise and generous leader who loved this city and whose legacy continues to make her a better place to live and work. This grant provided an opportunity for the Peyton Anderson Foundation to partner with the Knight Foundation. These two philanthropic organizations have a natural tie, as Bill just mentioned, since the resources that formed them both flowed from the newspaper industry. Knight is one of the great foundations in America, and their commitment to Macon through this center and in many other ways is making a significant contribution to our building a stronger and a better community. So the Anderson Foundation trustees and I wish to join you in thanking the Knight Foundation and Beverly Blake for their lead commitment in making this center possible. And we look forward to many other opportunities to partner with the Beverlys and the Knight Foundation. Finally, I'd like to thank President Underwood and Mercer University for continuing their leadership in Central Georgia. The Center for Collaborative Journalism is perhaps the latest, but assuredly not the last, of many wonderful initiatives that enhance the prominence of our wonderful, wonderful city. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. We are honored to have the Peyton Anderson name on this newsroom. Since 2006, Mercer has partnered with Georgia Public Broadcasting to bring local coverage to the community through WMUM, Macon Public Radio. One of the first phone calls we made after George approached Mercer with the idea of forming a collaboration was to Taya Ryan, Georgia Public Broadcasting's then newly installed president and executive director. Without hesitation, Taya said, "I'm in 100%. Taya has provided extraordinary leadership for Georgia Public Broadcasting over the last 3 years. In June, Georgia Public Broadcasting won 11 Emmy Awards, including the Station Excellence Award, an unprecedented honor for a public broadcaster. Taya, would you please come and say a few words on behalf of Georgia Public Broadcasting?"
Well, this is an extraordinary honor for public media that we have the opportunity to join in this, in many ways, revolutionary partnership. I think we all need to appreciate something here that we need not take for granted because we won't appreciate its uniqueness. We have a private university, we have a commercially based entity in the Telegraph, and a public media entity all coming together. Take a moment to think about that because I don't know anywhere else where that is happening. And particularly on the side of public media, this is exactly what we need to be doing. So not only are we leaders, I hope, in the Macon community, but I think we're setting the stage for a model for public media around the nation. So I am very proud to be a part of this, and I do thank so much the Knight Foundation and Eric and Beverly for being such wonderful guides in this. And Karen, thank you so much for your support from the Peyton Anderson Foundation. And we are looking forward to some extraordinary times, and we hope what we're doing now is setting the stage to give back to the Macon and Middle Georgia community what you have given to us. So thank you so much for letting us be a part of this.
Finally, before we get to the ribbon cutting, we want to hear from the man who planted the seed that grew into this center. I have thoroughly enjoyed working with George McCandless since he came to Macon about 5 years ago. He has a bold vision for this community and in a relatively short period of time has become one of Macon's most respected leaders. George, please come and share a few words on behalf of the Telegraph and the McClatchy Company.
Thank you, Bill, for the kind words, and I'd like to thank everyone for coming today. Hopefully I can keep my speech up here with me. And I'd also like to give a special thanks to Mark Zeman, who was introduced earlier, but he is McClatchy's Vice President of Operations that came all the way across country from Sacramento to be at our ribbon cutting today. And last night we were talking about the center and the effort and how we ended up getting to where we are today and why we ended up having it in Macon. And when I reflect back, it's got a real serendipitous quality about how all this came to be. It took having a university with a long commitment of investing in programs that it determined that its community needed, whether it was creating a medical school to produce doctors for rural areas of Georgia, created an engineering school to support our largest economic engine. As Taya said, it took having one of the nation's largest public broadcasting systems already having a presence on the campus here. And from my standpoint, it took an owner of the Telegraph that was interested and actively looking to develop new strategies to strengthen not only its newsrooms, but its newspapers. And so all the ingredients were there, but like everything else, it also took funding. And so how lucky are we as a community to have not one, but two foundations like the Knight Foundation and the Anderson Foundation. And when you're talking about journalism, remember that both of those foundations are funded and named for former owners of the Telegraph. So thank y'all. As I look around, I see a lot of the team from our newsroom. And as we go forward, they're the ones that are going to have the critical role in making this effort a success. And when I personally really knew that we were on to something good here was when we started exposing our news staffs to this idea. And as the good journalists they are, they had some pretty tough questions. But they quickly realized that not only would this be a great benefit to journalism education, but it's also going to be a great benefit and will enhance the quality of news that we're able to deliver to the community from our newsroom. And so, in closing, I'd like to share with you something that I remember my dad saying a long time ago. Like other fathers, he was prone to have a saying for certain circumstances, and I remember one that he had about how you make your way in the world, that it's the man who waits for his ship to come in who's always missing the boat. Well, as you can see, at least in Macon, Georgia, we're not going to sit around and wait for our ship to come in. So, again, thank all of you for coming, and we look forward to sharing with you the successes of our effort here in the coming months and years. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Inside the lobby of the center, you will see a display that contains the text of the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. That plaque will serve as a perpetual reminder to everyone who enters the center of the principles that undergird the work of the center. These 6 freedoms work together to ensure the free marketplace of ideas that is foundational to our democracy. Here on this 28th day of September 2012, we formally dedicate this center and those who work, teach, and study in it to advancing the freedoms guaranteed by the First Amendment. In the years ahead, this center will prepare new generations of journalists and ensure the information and engagement required for our community and our democracy to flourish and prosper. At this time, we will move to the ceremonial ribbon cutting. We are going to do this in 3 waves. As I call your name, please come forward and take your place here at the ribbon. First wave, Beverly Olson, Eric Newton, Beverly Blake, Karen Lambert, Kirby Godsey, David Hudson, Taya Ryan, George McCandless, and Tim Reagan Porter. Okay, everybody got their scissors? All right, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're not through yet. We have a second wave. I hope we have a second ribbon. There we go. Sherry Marshall, Executive Editor of The Telegraph. Adam Ragusia, Site Supervisor for Georgia Public Broadcasting. Dr. Cynthia Gottschall, Chair of Journalism and Media Studies. Dr. John Chalfa, Schumann Professor of Journalism and Media Studies. Dr. Jay Black, Assistant Professor of Journalism and Media Studies. Bill Solomon, Senior Vice President and General Counsel. Dr. Scott Davis, Provost. Dr. Lake Lambert, Dean of the College of Liberal Arts. Neil Skeen, Chairman of the National Journalism Advisory Board, and Bob Hatcher, Trustee of the University and former Chair of the Board of the University. Okay, we have one final wave. Jim Dawes of Sierra Development, Travis Griffith of Southern Pine, who's one of the partners in development, David Thompson, Piedmont Construction, Larry Pope, SP Design Group, Robert Rickert, Mayor of Macon, Richard Hawkins, a Journalism and Media Studies major, Josh Glasscock, a junior journalism and media studies major, and Erica O'Neill, a sophomore journalism and media studies major. All right, 1, 2, 3. Thank you all. That concludes our ceremony. The Center for Collaborative Journalism will be open for tours. Please feel free to stay in Mercer Village and have lunch. Also at 2 p.m., the Center for Collaborative Journalism will host a panel discussion in Fickling Hall titled Enhancing Local Journalism in the Media Age. You are welcome and encouraged to attend that program as well. Again, thank all of you for being here for what's a really important and special day in the life of this community. With that, we're adjourned.